It's time for us to take back our country. Now that we have governments in place that we can work with, it's now our time. It's our time to make sure that the labor legislation that was regressive is eliminated. But we also need to make sure that we have positive legislation for working class people. Why shouldn't we have a national pharmacare program? What's taking so long to renegotiate the healthcare accord? We should have a national child care program. We need to have stronger programs in Canada that are geared towards eliminating violence against women.
It's time for fairness. It's time for justice. It's time for equity. It's time for the labor movement to resume its rightful place in society, both domestically and abroad.
Ça, c'est sûr qu'on n'acceptera pas d'être les derniers au niveau des régimes publics de pension. Ça fait longtemps, ça fait au moins 4 ans qu'on a commencé une campagne là-dessus avec la FTQ. Et ça va devenir un des dossiers prioritaires pour nous dans les prochaines semaines, comme le dossier des transferts de santé. Il faut que le fédéral ait une nouvelle entente pour transférer de l'argent aux provinces parce que nos systèmes de santé sont déficients, on manque d'argent. Et ça va probablement les deux plus gros combats.
In Alberta, we have a new Democrat government, now the only one in the country. We've been doing amazing work with the Alberta Federation of Labor and other affiliates, really pushing to ensure that we get good public policy, good legislation that helps our members in their day-to-day lives.
Well, the first exciting project for Unifor that we've really taken on is the Changing Workplace Review. This is the first time the provincial government in over a couple of decades has really taken a look and opened up the Employment Standards Act and the Ontario Labour Relations Act with the purpose of modernizing them and really taking into consideration, quite frankly, the precarious work that we have growing and how challenging it is for people, for workers in a union and without a union.
I think that we're shifting in terms of how we see low-wage workers more generally across sectors, including in retail. And I think a lot of the credit for this needs to go to workers and their allies. In labor unions, progressive politicians, particularly in the United States, we've seen a real movement growing and building and encouraging signs here in Canada too. And so, when you think about the fact that, even in something like House of Cards, they're talking about Walmart's poverty wages now, that the tides are turning, and that going forward, I think we have a real opportunity to give this sector the attention that it needs, and to think about how retail fits into our economy and our society more broadly.
As we are all convened here today in this great hall, we're in Detroit 3 bargaining. And we know it's about the future of the industry here in Canada. So if we don't have all the governments, the corporations, our union, all pulling together, then we are going to have a problem. Because we are not going to allow Canada's #1 export industry to disappear without a fight.
The union is nothing without the membership. And Unifor has embarked on a very ambitious membership engagement process.
One of the key pieces of engagement we've done this year is the launch of the Local Union Task Force.
What was really inspiring was their desire to actually work closer together to build the unions in the communities that they live in and work in.
That's the focus. Part of it going forward will be to just continue to engage and have as many members as possible play an active role in whatever forum of the union that excites them to be a part of it.
I think the next 3 years doing some of the work of the local union task force is going to be pretty exciting. Going forward, we have to look at how we strengthen and build the confidence of our members to be able to take on challenges, to build alliances in communities, and to fight back in new and more sophisticated ways. So we're just getting started, really.
I mean, I'd like to see, more organizing, and I hope that we will return to a time when, unions are being joined at a greater rate, that people enjoy the benefits of a good union job, but also everything else that they have to add to the communities.
Every one of us has a responsibility, especially those of us who've had the privilege of coming through the door, who've been able to get into leadership positions, of making sure that that door doesn't close by us. Our responsibility is to keep the door open and then open up some windows, and people should be coming in, and they should be diverse groups of people as well.
You know, one of the things that we did in creating Unifor was to be very conscious of equity and to look at everything through an equity lens. And we will continue to do that, and I think that will be one of the challenges for Unifor on a go-forward basis.
There's no room for complacency in a movement, particularly if we're interested in being a lasting movement.
Bien, en fait, tu sais, chaque priorité qu'on se donne, que ce soit à la table de négociation, quand les résultats sont là, nos membres sont fiers. Mais il faut qu'ils voient un peu plus large que dans leur convention collective. Dans la société, ça veut dire quoi? Au niveau de l'éducation, au niveau de la santé, au niveau de la communauté, qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire pour avoir une société, dans le fond, plus juste, plus équitable? Et c'est en participant au processus démocratique, c'est en participant aux décisions, c'est en se mobilisant pour faire changer des choses.
Our union's done a lot to be able to expose the truth. When we take on issues like fighting the TPP, when we were promised, when NAFTA came in the 80s, we were promised that this was going to be good for the people of Canada, that, our partners in Mexico, their life would rise up and they would be, so much better off in this global economy. And the reality is that's not true at all. I think our union's able to give a voice to not only workers here, but to workers, hopefully around the globe.
The solidarity at home is really critical. It's how we support each other in struggles and against employers and government. And that is something that Unifor and the rest of the labor movement does really well on a regular basis every day in this country without much fanfare. On the international level, we recognize we live in a global world and we can't simply sit on the sidelines allowing ourselves not to be engaged with workers who are struggling either to build their own country but also to resist the demands of employers around the world.
I feel there's something in the world. I just feel that there's been kind of an earthquake in the world in terms of a social knowledge or a social understanding that something needs to break through. It is so clear now that these policies of deregulation and unfettered free trade and corporate rule and the cutting back of the Social Security network has just hurt so many millions, so many billions around the world, that really there's a moment here for something new. And I want us to grab that moment. I want us to work together. Unifor is going to be absolutely crucial to the naming of what that looks like.
We're faced with one of the biggest climate challenges that we've ever seen in humanity. And climate change is going to affect all of our lives. It's going to affect everything we do in work. And we have to sort of recognize we've got a central role to play as a labor movement, how we can use our voice, but our political clout to fight for climate jobs, at the same time recognize we got to reduce greenhouse gases and make this planet a more livable place.
Je vous dirais qu'on a débuté, on a fait depuis le mois de mars, nous, on a fait une campagne concernant une transition juste vers des emplois durables, verts. Vous savez, la planète s'est donné des objectifs ambitieux à Paris qu'il faut atteindre. Si on ne les atteint pas, on va être dans le trouble au niveau planétaire, au niveau de notre environnement. Mais ça va avoir un impact, parce que c'est des objectifs ambitieux, ça va avoir un impact sur nos emplois. Il y a des grands secteurs d'activité qui vont être plus affectés que d'autres. Il y a de grandes régions au Québec qui vont être plus affectées que d'autres. Et on a débuté une réflexion à la FTQ parce qu'il faut absolument que la FTQ et ses syndicats affiliés, Unifor en fait partie, participent à ce débat-là vers une transition juste vers des emplois verts durables dans une économie verte et durable.
Join me in giving Canada the very best 150th birthday present we can. And that is ending racial discrimination as fiscal policy policy in the federal government across every area of First Nations children's experience. You and your family, including your children, can become part of the movement that finally ends what is Canada's apartheid policy towards First Nations children. So we need your help, and we know together we can do it. But we're going to have to use all of our voices in a chorus that says that Canada is better than racially discriminating against kids, and we will no longer have it be part of our future.
The future is very bright. We've been very bold. We've been on the offensive. We've made real changes in terms of the politics in this country, the political leadership of this country. I'm really proud of our accomplishments and look forward to the next 3 years.
We need unions that are going to be creative. We need unions that are going to be exciting. We need unions that are grounded in their communities. We need unions that are prepared to take on tough issues internally, like how can we be a more diverse and engaging movement. And I think Unifor has been, is, and will be all of those things.
You never take your foot off the gas pedal. I mean, I've got an incredible amount of energy, so does the team, so does all the staff in our local unions. We're encouraged, we're enthused. We saw what we can accomplish when we stick together as an organization. So the next 3 years will be no different. The next 3 years is about continuing to push the political agenda. It's going to be about pushing the collective bargaining agenda, but it's about building Unifor. It's about continuing to build our organization, bringing in new members, encouraging non-union members to join our organization. It really is about continuing progressive politics, continuing to portray a progressive organization that is going to be at the forefront of change. So the next 3 years is going to be as crazy as the last 3.